For the past few years, I've been wanting to write a book, and every book that I read has made that want grow. The want to put my characters, stories, and ideas onto a piece of paper. But I always tell myself I'm too busy. I have a degree to earn, school, work, all these other things. I'm always going to be busy, and then writing was suddenly a dream instead of a goal. But if I wait for the day I'm never busy, I'll be waiting forever. Hi guys! So I just finished my freshman year of college and I'm currently taking 4 summer courses, and despite all this chaos, I decided now is the perfect time to write a book. I've spent years thinking about how I would like to write a book. All of my high school year, I always would tell myself, I told all my friends and my family, I was like, when I get to college, I'm gonna write a book. Or I'd literally sit in the living room and I would be telling my mom about these ideas I had about writing these books, but I would never actually start. I remember this time in like 2nd grade where we were given this task to write a story or choose a story and rewrite it, and I chose Cinderella, and it ended up being the most horrific like horror story, murder mystery kind of deal. It was a whole thing in 2nd grade and it was pages long. I spent all of that class period just working on it, and I think looking back on it now, that was the first time that I decided that I actually really liked writing. I mean, it was devastating when that class period ended. Ever since then, I've kind of always had like characters living in my mind, not literally, but like stories and scenes and all these plots and their powers and kingdoms, and I kind of just wanted to talk about why I started writing a book and why I think you should too. Your stories deserve to exist. I have spent years thinking about my plots, my characters, and I've never actually given them life. By the way, if you wonder why I keep looking down, my 2 dogs are right here and I'm petting them. I think there's something so beautiful about creating your own characters and your own world. Characters and things in the worlds are based off of who you are. You can put your personality into certain characters, your anger, your sadness, like your hurt, your regret. You can put all of this into your characters and give it some kind of life. I think it's so rewarding that potentially one day somebody else can read it and they'll get to kind of understand, what I see and what I think about. Here's my second why. Consuming all these stories is not the same as creating them. I've spent years collecting a book collection. I have fantasy, romance, horror, self-help book. I have a whole architecture book because once upon a time I wanted to major in architecture, and it's just not the same because eventually you read all these other people's stories and all these other ideas, and it's great until you read a story and you want it to go this way or this way, and suddenly you go from reading it to wanting to actually create it. So why not write your own book and write that specific ending? These days there's so many common book endings and just common plot lines. Well, in the books that I've been reading, I'm sure there are so many other ones that I could probably expand out to. Here's my third why. The perfect time does not exist. I'm the kind of person who has been spending all these years telling myself the future me will do it. The future me will have the confidence to do it. The future me will be so okay with maybe potentially other people seeing me online or my book published or all of that. That's when it'll be perfect. That's never going to happen. I'm constantly probably going to be thinking about how an old friend of mine might see a book I wrote, maybe if it was published, or even on Amazon if I self-publish it. That's always going to be a fear, but once you actually start, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who sees it. They're all gonna judge you because that's what people do, but you should just start. Going back to that, you're always going to have a job, you're always going to have school, you are always going to have a social life to handle, you're going to have a family to handle, yourself to handle. You're always going to be busy. There's never going to be the time when the world stops spinning or something happens and it says, now, write your book now. You should do this now. You can do this now. It's just not how the world works. You have to make that initial, I'm gonna start. Why number 4, You can think about a book all you want. You can read as many books as you can, but reading and thinking about the books is not the same as actually learning to write one. You know, I'll read a book and I'll predict, okay, this is the plot that's gonna happen. This is what's gonna happen to this character. I already know. I know this is exactly what this character is thinking. I know that we're not gonna fall in love with this character. We're gonna fall in love with that character. Like, you already know these things. Sorry, this is my dog. It's not the same as actually writing it, because once you actually put things down onto paper, you realize that you will sit there for probably 10 minutes trying to make one sentence be perfect. You can't really learn about writing unless you actually do writing. Here's my 5th why. You don't have to be ready. This ties into there is no perfect time, because I kind of said the same thing, but I'm not ready. My notes are messy, my worlds are messy, my YouTube is messy. I just took a 3-week break, and because, you know, life happens. And once you think about it, after reading all of these books and just going through all this stuff, looking at all these amazing authors that are getting so much credit and blowing up and just going viral, you know, they were beginners too once. Some of them were like us, who don't have a kind of degree. They just have characters in their mind and they put it down onto paper. Nobody's going to be a great writer right when they start. You learn how to be a great writer. Here's why number 6. I have realized that not doing the things I love, like writing a book, I will regret it. I would regret it. You know, to spend all this time thinking about starting something and then you just don't start it, you'll regret it. My 7th why is writing makes you pay attention. When you're going places, when you're talking to people, places are places. Conversations are conversations, and it's nothing special until you start actually writing a book. And then suddenly it becomes a conversation, has this emotion, it has these new words, people are communicating like this. Somebody's facial expression looks like this when they're doing it. The way people talk isn't just their way of talking, it's ways of communicating. How people dress, how people do things. You know, you pay attention to details. Now, my 8th why. It's writing lets you explore things safely. It's like emotions, love, grief, happiness. I've read somewhere that your brain doesn't know the difference between a real life experience and the book you're reading. And it's a way to learn about yourself, about your emotions, how you handle things. Here's my 5th why, and I think I relate to this one a lot. It's probably one of my favorite whys, is nobody can tell your story. Because in the end, like when you're writing, nobody has your personal experiences or your perspective. Here's my 11th why. It teaches you discipline. To write a book, you have to write consistently. You have to stay consistent and you have to be disciplined. You have to know how not to write too much, but you also have to know how not to write too little. You know, you have goals, you have deadlines, you have word counts you'd like to make. You know, there's a whole bunch of things to do. Day 1 can keep going for hours, but when you get to day 40, you have to still be doing it. But after that initial excitement disappears, you need to learn how to stay disciplined with it. And my last and final why is finishing something changes you. Finishing something that takes so long to finish will change you. You will learn about yourself. You'll learn about the world. You'll learn so many things. You know, maybe you decide you want to be a completely different person by the time you're done, and that's okay because you learned. Even if you write a book, okay, and nobody reads it, you don't publish it, you know, you maybe only get like 1 rough draft done, maybe 2. Even if it goes nowhere, you just proved to yourself you could do that. You just told a full story. It's impressive to do it. It's impressive to start. And it's even more impressive to keep going. And when you're at the end, I mean, you might as well just earn a gold trophy for it. It helps you build confidence. So there are my whys of why I started writing my book and why I think you should start writing your book too. Please start writing your book. And maybe for you, it isn't a book. Maybe for you, it's something completely different. But if there's something you've been waiting to start for years and you've just been thinking about it, maybe this is your sign to stop waiting.